Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick Avila of the band Powerglove, and I'm here to answer all of your questions. We finally have some downtime from tour. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but as most of you guys know, we've been on tour for a year non-stop, so I've had time to do absolutely nothing like this. So I'll try to get to all your questions. If there's repeats, I'll probably skim over them. And if I pronounce your name wrong, which I will 50% of the time, forgive me. There's over 230 questions here, so if you want to skip ahead and try to find yours, just go and do that. I don't care. So start off with John Christ Believe It wants to know when we're coming back to Ontario, Canada. It's hard to say. We've just been touring nonstop already, so I'd guess whenever we have like a new release out, it's probably not going to be until later next year or early 2013. But we'll definitely be back there. Canada's always very good to us. David Frericks wants to know a very important question of who has the biggest schwanz. I'm guessing that means penis. Unfortunately, I have seen a few of my band members' penises. It is kind of unavoidable when you are in close quarters with them on tour and have no privacy. I didn't really look long enough to try and figure that out. I try to, blind my eyes as quick as I possibly can when I see something like that. So I really am not sure. Sorry about that. Joseph Alicia wants to know who my favorite pro wrestler is. I used to watch wrestling when I was in middle school, so I'm 24 now. So back in the day, it was probably like The Undertaker. The Undertaker was pretty awesome. Matt McLaughlin wants to know if we will ever come to the UK. That's a good question. It's something we've been working on for quite some time since the band started. Traveling and touring overseas requires obviously a great deal of money, so we've had to kind of build up to a point where we can do that. And I don't want to get your hopes up too high, but we are very close, very, very close to doing other territories and playing overseas. So, and that's going to be our focus on the next album. It won't be as many North American tours. And we're going to really try and get out to you guys because I know we have a lot of fans over there. And so, yeah, and the next album, look out for it. And if we don't get over there, that means that there's a shortage of money or something just didn't work out, because you never really know what's going to happen in this industry, unfortunately. Tibor wants to know what my favorite ice cream flavor is. I had this ice cream flavor. It's a new one from Ben & Jerry's that is awesome. You guys should all try it. It's what was it? It was like potato chips with salted caramel and vanilla bean ice cream. I think it was like a Jimmy Fallon flavor or something. I don't know, but it's awesome. You guys should try it. David Snow wants to know what my favorite stop on the Summer Slaughter tour was. That tour was pretty amazing in general for us, mainly because we had very low expectations, because we weren't sure how it would go over well with all death metal bands. But I would have to say that Washington, D.C. was my favorite stop, mainly because at that point that was towards the end of the tour, which had no days off, 12-hour drives every night, and by that time we were really at the end of our rope. And what was kind of cool is that we at that DC show we saw a lot of fans from video game conventions we played way back in the day, like MagFest or Monster Party and things like that. And people we just hadn't seen for 4 years, and they were just really pumped and showing a lot of support. and at that point we just didn't know what to expect from DC. It was the first time we actually played in that city. So the reaction was just insane. Crowd surfing the whole time, giant mosh pits. So we'd like to see lots of that at our shows. And I don't know, that show kind of brought us out of that funk where we all kind of wanted to go home, and all it really takes is one good show to snap you out of it. So that was definitely my favorite show of that tour. Wiley Fulop wants to know when we will release our next album. Obviously, this is a question that has been asked many times here. We're currently working on it. We have a bunch of old material that we're bringing up and that we worked on before SMA even came out, and we're kind of choosing what was good and bad about certain songs there, flushing some parts out. And it usually takes us quite a while to make an album. The first album that I was on, Metal Combat for the Mortal Man, took us about a year and a half, no, 2 years to make. SMA took us a year and a half, so we're going to try to beat that record and go for about a year, maybe a little less on this album. So, it's hard to say, but I'd say like late 2012 or the very latest early 2013. I know that's a long time to wait, but we are perfectionists, unfortunately, and we have our own studio here, so we don't really have a limit on our studio time. So if we usually get very anal retentive and spend way too much time on small mistakes and stuff. So we're gonna try to get better at that, but it'll be a while, but hopefully the end result will be worth it. Mark Gopriel wants to know what video games are we playing now. Personally, I have been playing Skyrim like everyone else, and before that I went through Arkham City, which was awesome. Robert Thomas wants to know Skyrim or Skyward Sword. I don't have a Wii, so Skyrim. Christian Alcaraz wants to know what is my favorite video game of all time. Personally, it's Chrono Trigger. I've beaten that game countless times, and that's also another song that I really want to cover in the future. John Christ Believe It wants to know when the new album's coming out. Okay. Victor Juarez wants to know if we want to have a Pokemon battle. I don't know, but when we do Dick Bus on tour, we try to bring people on it and challenge them to Smash Brothers is kind of our band's game of choice, but any game that we have on there. Last tour we were playing lots of Gears of War and Call of Duty, and we went over Portal. We went through Portal 2. But I don't know. We could have a Pokemon battle. Why not? Marco A. Garcia wants to know what our plans for future albums are, and who came up with the ending for the Simpsons cover. Our plan for our next album is going to be going back to video games. Right now, we're going to be experimenting with the sound a little bit. Saturday Morning Apocalypse was a bit more of a mixed, like a death metal album, and we're going to try to take that down a notch. It's still going to be heavy and fast and technical, but obviously, since our last video game album in 2007, we're at a very different place in our lives. So, and we know a lot more about arranging and recording software and synths and orchestration. So we're going to experiment a bit more on this album, have a lot of different dynamics, and we're going to try and go for as many real instruments as far as it goes for orchestration. We're going to try to have some songs with a full orchestra, full choir, and throw a lot of surprises on there for you. And it'll definitely be a different experience than listening to Metal Combat for the Mortal Man. And as far as the ending of The Simpsons, that was actually we sent that song when it was completely done to Tony Kako from Sonata Arctica, and when he sent it back, he actually created that vocal part on his own. We didn't even ask him to do that for that song. We only wanted him to actually do the original the part in the beginning, sing The Simpsons, and he came up with that crazy a cappella part with him spelling out The Simpsons, which we loved and just put in. It was originally just like a heavy breakdown that we all came up with, and I think Basil actually started that song and wrote most of it, but Tony wrote all the vocals for that. Lee Rachel Bordeaux wants to know if we play WoW. No, none of us play WoW. I know Alex, our guitarist, plays Warcraft 3, and a lot of us play StarCraft and StarCraft 2. Never really got into WoW. Didn't really have enough time to do it. But I have a lot of friends in the metal scene that I know do play. My friend Mike from the band The Absence we've toured with was telling me there's a metal guild with some of the guys from 1349 and Cannibal Corpse, and so I know a lot of people in the music scene do play WoW. Justin Tomlin wants to know if we're coming back to Boston anytime soon. That we might play Boston sooner than we play other places, obviously, because we live in Boston. The soonest would be if we play a small show at PAX East, but we're not sure about that yet. Jarat Sneeze Sanchez wants to know if it would be possible for us to write another Legend of Zelda song in the future. Definitely, we covered a lot of Zelda songs and Power, Wisdom, Courage, obviously, but there's always more. So, yeah, we could definitely look into it. Jaron Cardenas wants to know who the Skyrim freak is in the band. I guess that'd be me. I'm not a Skyrim freak yet, but I definitely can understand the addicting qualities behind it. You can't pick it up for more than an hour. Every time I play it, it's like my entire day is gone. It's ridiculous. I haven't talked to our guitarist Chris for a while, but for like a month. But I'm guessing he's been playing Skyrim for a big chunk of that and recording some new stuff for the band. So, let's see. Michael Weiss wants to know where can I find the video game music for piano. There's a good site. There's a good site called VG. I think VGmusic.com that we go to a lot for MIDIs, and a lot of those have just all the notation written out for video game songs, and you can probably find some piano lines on that site. So I'd recommend going to that. Xander Zaries wants to know when we're coming to Australia. That's a bit tougher. I think we're probably going to focus on trying to get over to Europe and the UK and Japan first. Australia is not. I know we have a lot of fans over there, but it's not. It's extremely expensive to go out there and play, and we don't have all the necessary connections to go over there just yet. But it's something that we're going to be working on, and we're going to try to go across the entire world by the time our next album comes out. A bunch of the questions next are all when are you coming to the Netherlands, Australia. So yeah, so the same answer for all those questions. We're working on it. Next album, we will definitely focus on trying to get to the rest of the world. Nicholas Warren wants to know if we'll ever release a full-length album based on just one game. That's definitely something we thought about doing before. Mainly, we wanted to do a Final Fantasy EP. But we change our minds quite a lot while trying to come up with an album theme. And in general, people want it would just, it would appease one group of fans, but everyone else would be disappointed that there wasn't like a wider variety of games on it. So in the end, I think for this next album, we're just going to be doing a wider spectrum of some newer and older games. But there'll be definitely a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff on it. Dakota Marty wants to know how to play the bass doodly at the end of Storm Eagle. The best thing you can do for any kind of fast bass part or guitar part or drum part, anything like that, is to start extremely slow. Search on the neck for different ways of playing it, different positions where your hands feel most comfortable, and then just build it up, going up in intervals of like 5 beats per minute or 10 beats per minute, just playing it over and over and over again until your muscle memory will eventually kick in, and after quite some time, a week or two, you should be able to get up to that speed. But I think Storm Eagle's at 180. I play that part at the end. I finger pick it, but if that's too fast, you can also figure out a way to tap that part as well, because that line would also sound good tapped. Mark Penna wants to know, can we do the Duke Nukem theme better than Megadeth? I don't know. I have to listen to the Megadeth version again. I haven't heard that for a long time. So I have to listen to that again before I can answer that. Joe Jusevic wants to know when we're coming back to South Florida. I've already answered this. So okay. Caleb Kennedy wants to know what our thoughts on modern VG music are, the pros and cons, and if we've ever considered going into battle with the Protomen. We have definitely considered touring with the Protomen. I want to keep it kind of a surprise, but we want to try and plan a tour for next year that will include a lot of different video game music artists and just other artists in like the nerd culture that you'd see at anime conventions and comic book conventions, video game conventions, all that. So, and that's not necessarily just all metal bands. And the Protomen are definitely on that list. They're good friends of ours. We've played with them numerous times already, so we're definitely thinking about touring with those guys. My thoughts on modern VG music. I mean, we know most of the bands that are in the scene. I think they're doing a great job. Some of my favorites would be Vomitron. Those guys are great, and Metroid Metal, Arm Cannon. Are all really cool. And of course, Entertainment System, who actually just went on hiatus, are good friends of mine. And I always thought those guys were fun live. Michael Pritchard wants to know how bad we want to play the Gourmet March from Kirby's Dream Land. Pretty badly. I'm not gonna lie. We definitely want to do some Kirby on the next album. Harrison Highsmith says, I used to be in a video game music cover band like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee. I guess I'm old and I'm behind other times for this, but I know that's a Skyrim reference. I need to check out that video. But I know what you're talking about. Jason Lee wants to know, can you tell us one song that's going to be on the next record? That is hard for us to tell you. I can tell you some stuff. I can tell you a song we're working on. We've been working on One Winged Angel. And we're hoping that's going to make the cut. But honestly, we promised a lot of songs on the last album, and by the time we finish them, half of them we think are crap, or we don't think we did good enough job on them, and they get thrown out. So I really don't want to get your hopes up just yet. Let me see. Ryan Rappaport wants to know, would you guys ever accept a Super Smash Brothers challenge against my band? As I said, if we are in a tour bus and on tour, go and find me after the show, and if we have time, I will, and we have our Wii with us, we will play some Smash. Let me see. Jeffrey Rivera wants to know, why do people get eaten by sharks? Do they not hear the cello music becoming louder and louder? Actually, from what I've heard, sharks don't like the taste of humans, and we're way too bony for them. And we actually kill and eat a lot more sharks, so I think they're a lot more scared of us. Um, See, Perry Dante Mason wants to know, why haven't you guys done the Dexter's Laboratory theme song or the Dragon Ball Z theme song? It's because we can only fit so many songs on an album, and as I'll probably explain later, the process to get all the rights to do the songs is very long and tedious, and sometimes we can't necessarily legally get all the rights to do every single song we want to do. And but Dexter's Laboratory, I actually like that song. I wasn't thinking about that. So Peter Zalunzi wants to know, why do I have a cold when it's summertime? It is not summertime. You are wrong. It is December. Marcus Gelby wants to know, what kind of guitars and amps do we use? Alex and Chris play ESP guitars, and they use PV5150 pluses, I believe, and Marshall 4x12 cabinets. I know that's what they use live. I think for recording they use a Mesa Boogie cab and the 5150. Let's see, Luis Valenzuela wants to know, why do you guys always give candy? I remember the first time I wanted to do that, I wanted to throw out candy. I figured we were playing with a lot of bands that were very different from us, and I figured that even if they didn't like who we were, they'll want to turn around and say, who the fuck is this band throwing Starburst at my face? So I just had a bunch of extra one day, and I started throwing it out, and got a good reaction. I just started doing it. It's like, I don't know, all the things we do live, like throwing out candy, fuck that bird channel, just happen on random whims of us just having fun at a show and just harassing people, and then they'll either catch on or they won't, and the candy caught on, fuck that bird caught on. So Ronald Alanis wants to know what my favorite Zelda game is. Ocarina of Time. Jonathan Estilla wants to know what my favorite old school Nintendo game is. There's a lot. I would say Super Mario Brothers 3. Varg Tompasky wants to know if we'd ever consider doing a Christmas album. That's something that we talked about probably a year or two ago. But I think it's an idea that's been done a few too many times, and we already have enough video game themes and other songs we want to cover, and it'd be a little cheesy. And Trans-Siberian already does a bunch of awesome Christmas metal songs. And I know one of our old tour buddies, Psycho Stick, had a Christmas EP too. So I don't know, we'll leave it to those guys and just keep on doing video game cartoon songs. Maurice Boney wants to know if there's ever going to be another guest vocalist on the next album. Yes, there will be. We have a few people we've talked to about doing some guest work in terms of vocals and guitars. So we'll see how that all comes together in the end. But yes. Jack Flagger wants to know if we have any plans for original material in the future. Yes, we've already started writing a lot of original material. It might get used for something else, or some of the riffs might get used for some original material that we always throw in our covers. But yes, that's something we definitely want to do. We're trying to think of the right way right theme for it, because I don't know. I felt like we all kind of felt like you guys deserve another video game album before we start doing original stuff, since it's been so long. So maybe look for some original material after we do this next album. A bunch of the next questions I had were all about particular songs people want us to cover. If you guys want us to cover something, take a look out for some of the polls that I post up sometimes. And if we see something requested enough, we always take a look at the song and consider putting it on the album. Besides that, the songs that we choose are the songs we think we could make into the best Powerglove song, or just songs we wanted to work on for a long time. We were discussing the other day about we kind of felt bad about making you guys wait really long for a new album, so we might try and do some more obscure songs that for you guys and post them earlier in the year, and just have a few surprise singles for you guys. So that way, at least I'll have some more material covered. So maybe the song you want will be played by us. Ken Wilson wants to know what the thought process is behind a set list, aside from not wanting to show up the headlining band. When I make a set list, I usually try to think of the energy of all the songs. We try to start off with faster paced songs that everyone can get right into and have a lot of crowd interaction right away. We save the slower ones for the middle, when people are getting kind of tired. And then after we do those, we try and play the most popular songs at the end to kind of wake people up and get them moving again. So that's my thought process when I make a set list. Let me see. Stephen Deal says, "Why no love for classic Ninja Gaiden? We love Ninja Gaiden. That is something we definitely want to do in the future. We are big fans of Ninja Gaiden, so don't say that." Travis Boyles says, "Are there any of you who are less nerdy than the others? Like, for example, is one of you any more into metal than video games? And how do you have the time to master the guitar and be a video game nerd at the same time?" When we're on tour, we play video games on our cell phones when we have downtime. But yeah, I mean, we have less time to play. You guys probably know a lot more about new games than we do, because this band's kind of consumed our lives. But I'd say we're all relatively equal nerds in terms as it comes to being musicians and gamers. So. Brad Poe wants to know what our guitarist's favorite solos are to play, just for fun and not Powerglove related. I don't know. I haven't been able to reach them for quite some time, so I know back in the day Alex liked to play a lot of Arch Enemy solos for fun, and Mr. Fast Fingers kind of stuff. Used to like to jam to that. Chris's favorite band is a Japanese band called Galnerius. So I know he learned a lot of their songs for fun. And as far as favorite solos to play, I'm not completely sure for Powerglove stuff. I think they might be all sick. They might be all sick of our solos by now. Damo wants to know my favorite Super Nintendo games. I'd say Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3 or 6, Final Fantasy 2 or 4, and probably Super Mario World. Mark Wiley says, "Why you scream like Paul Stanley?" I don't know. I really don't know. As you can see, my normal personality is a lot different from my stage one. A bit disappointing. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I guess he inhabits my soul, and and I kind of lose my mind when I go on stage and I turn to a different person. That happens to a lot of musicians, and I don't know, I turned into a wild man. But I think if I was like that in normal life, people would get sick of me a lot faster. If I was screaming at them and tell them to fuck that bird, they'd probably hate me. Not that I'd care, but yeah. What are my top albums of 2011? I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I haven't listened to a lot of new music this year. I like the new Flesh God Apocalypse CD. That was pretty cool. The new Protest the Hero was pretty good. And in general, I don't know. The new Opeth was great. Heritage. Yeah, I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of I've been listening to a lot of older stuff recently this year. 2010 was kind of a bigger year for new albums for me. Oh, and the new Versailles album I liked a lot as well. Um, when did we realize that we wanted to do video game covers? We've always wanted to do video game covers. So since we were kids, we always been fans of heavy music, and we would hear a song, and we always would picture how it'd be if we turned it into a metal song. And once we actually practiced our guitars and basses and drums enough to do it, we tried and make it happen. And we were really bad at it at first, but we got slightly better as time went on. And it just came to be finally. Jesse Jones wants to know what our favorite songs are to play live. I'd say all of us actually agree that Red Wings Over Baron's our favorite song to play live. It is a fairly easy song to play, but it still has a lot of interesting changes and different dynamics and heavy parts, soft parts, and it doesn't kill our hands. We can all move around and headbang while we play it. So yeah, all of us like playing that song. It's our longest song, I believe, but it always goes by fast for us. Cal Keith wants to know what is the meaning of life. For us, I guess it's video game metal. It's the meaning of life is. I obviously don't have the answer, but if you can find importance and in anything, whether it's something creative or find something that you love to anything that you love to do, honestly, and any kind of goal you can set for yourself, that's the meaning of life. And once you lose that, life's kind of pointless. So. Skylar wants to know if any of us play Magic the Gathering. I think Chris played it a long time ago, very briefly, but none of us really got into it. I know the Powerglove artist Dave Raposa actually worked for Wizards of the Coast for a while, and he designed a bunch of Magic cards, which I thought was pretty cool. Christopher Dunleavy wants to know if we will ever be able to hear your version of Under the Sea. It does exist. It is dwelling in the hard drive of Basil's computer. If we can get Disney to to let us do it, we will put it out. Stephen Goodner wants to know if any of us play Dungeons and Dragons. I actually did when I was in elementary school. I have all the old books and stuff that were left to me from my older brothers. Cody Colburn asks, do you guys find it difficult extending songs meant to be shorter loops compositions? Yes, we find a lot of difficulty in that, especially with the Saturday Morning Apocalypse album we just did, which were a lot of the songs we had like almost no material to work with. So in that case, we kind of, honestly, we just try to create original material that kind of sounds that sounds like the material that we're already working with, and then we try to find the best riffs of the material that we do have to work with and repeat that a certain amount of times, create different variations of it, and then just flesh out the rest of the original material. Jonathan Affinay wants to know, in a fight between Dr. Gregory House versus Darth Vader, where House does not have Vicodin and his cane, and Vader doesn't have his robotic parts and the Force, who would die of shame first? I'd say Dr. Gregory House. I think he'd start freaking out and going on he would go through some Vicodin withdrawal. Darth Vader, even if he couldn't talk, he could still kick his ass. So, yeah. Dr. Gregory House. Darth Vader is awesome. Brandon Bradley wants to know, could you form an all-instrumental tour? Example, Animals as Leaders, Scale the Summit, Powerglove. I haven't talked to the Animals as Leaders guys. We know the Scale the Summit guys a bit. We've talked to them about touring before. I'm sure that idea has come across our minds. Yeah, I'm sure something like that could happen. Kevin Gill wants to know, has anyone in the band beat Ghosts and Goblins for the Nintendo? Chris has. Laura Lockie wants to know, do you picture yourselves at your 50s and 60s still doing this, or at least touring and into music? I think we'll definitely be into music. If we're not all dead by the time we're 50 or 60 and we'll definitely still be doing this. We've gotten into some near-death situations already where we've almost had bus crashes or van crashes, so hopefully we can make it that far. Being in a touring band is a very it's quite life-threatening. So we'll see if we make it to our 50s and 60s first, and then we'll see where we're at, I guess. Genosaurus Rex wants to know if we have any vinyls out yet. That's something we need to work out with our label. We were going to release a vinyl for SMA, but in the end we didn't have enough time to make it, and we're gonna try and shoot for our next album being on vinyl, for sure. Mitch Farner wants to know, Coke or Pepsi? Coke. Pepsi? No. Kevin Curtis wants to know if we plan on doing any Star Wars or sci-fi songs. Yeah, we definitely have been talking about doing a Star Wars medley. Scott wants to know how hard it is for Basil to play drums with those flags on his back. It's not too challenging. It's a lot. It looks a lot harder than it actually is. When we meet with our costume designer to design the basic functionality of all the costumes, we make sure that we are able to play, and then we try them on. We get them fitted in a certain way so it never interferes with our actual playing, because that would never be worth it. So, Mike Moran wants to know if we still have the fog machine that he gave us in 2009. I don't know. I'm sorry. Um, let's see. Trash Berlin asks, "How do you feel about me pole dancing to your music with an epic smoke machine this week?" We feel fine about that as long as you post videos on our page. Kyle Lee wants to know, do you like any old school stuff like the Rolling Stones and about swing music? Um, yeah, I like a lot of. I definitely like a lot of old school bands. My favorite is Pink Floyd personally. Swing music. I don't listen to much swing, but when I went to Berklee College of Music, I played a lot of swing, and my favorite swing-ish band, I guess, would be the Diablo Swing Orchestra. They're awesome. Chris Stabler says, "Why does it burn when I pee?" uh, yeah, you should probably go see a doctor about that. If I knew, I would tell you. But I do not. Seth Linderman asks, if you could tour with any artist, who would you tour with? It wouldn't fit perfectly well, but my favorite band of all time is Opeth, so it'd be Opeth. Matt Nicolades says, "Can I sing for your band? I can totally sing in Tony Kakko's range." Send us some. Honestly, if you're actually a good singer, post some stuff on YouTube, and we will check it out. And we are looking for several vocalists for our next album that can actually pull it off. So, mainly for choir type stuff. So, if you can sing, man, send us something. There's a bunch of questions asking whether their band can get a show with us. My answer to that is yes, you probably can. It depends on whether we are supporting or headlining. If we're headlining, we usually like to have a couple bands do local support, and the best person to contact is not us, but the promoter of whatever venue we're playing at. And if you can find their contact information, just tell them what your band is about, tell them your previous show history, how many people you can bring in. Maybe they'll have you sell some tickets, and yes, then you can usually hop on a show. We've played with a lot of bands that we've done some headlining shows in the past where some of the locals were fans of the band and did just that and it worked for them. So give that a shot. Aiden Dalby asks, how do we get around copyright issues with your covers? It's not. We try to. The simple answer is that we have a lawyer who deals with a lot of that for us, and we try to contact the publishers of the games, or we go to an agency called Harry Fox who deals with mechanical licensing, and we try to we register our songs on there. So one of those two, and it takes a very long time, a lot of pestering, especially if you're a smaller band. It's very hard to get in touch with these people, but we do our best, and we try to reach out to all of them and give them a cut of what we make. So, which isn't very much. Tom Compton says, "Please tell me we'll be back at UmaCon next year. You guys were amazing live." Thank you, Tom. We will probably be back at UmaCon next year. We had a blast over there, and they treated us very well. So the show was great. So we'll probably be back. Thank you guys for for being a great audience. Christian Colby Porter asks, what is my personal favorite song? Obviously, that's a really hard question. Right now, I'd have to say, just from looking at my iTunes playlist and seeing what I've listened to the most, it's To Bid You Farewell by Opeth. Daniel Hughes asks, when can I get my Halo rematch, Nick? I'm going to start doing some Xbox Live tournaments soon, probably with Modern Warfare 3, which I'm not really good at yet, so you'll probably beat my ass again, like you beat my ass in Halo. Yeah, I'll probably throw Halo Reach in there and get some new games going. Also, I finally have PS3 with the PS3 Online Network, so I can play some of you guys in PS3 games as well. Chase Pate asks, will you perform in my house? That's actually something we used to do back in the day. We would do house parties. When I first joined the band in 2006, some of the most fun shows I ever had, man, were house parties. One awesome show I remember, before we had like the big foam latex costumes. We played on Halloween in like 2006 at my old place, and it was completely packed. And I was dressed up as a cow, and the cops came in and broke it up and like chased everyone out of there. And I ran up to the top floor, and the cops were just like chasing me down with a flashlight, saying, "Moo, cow, moo! Where's the cow? Get over here!" And I finally came in. The cops were actually fans of the band, which is really weird. So they let me off pretty easy. So it wasn't that bad. But I don't know if we'd probably play a house show if a bunch of shows got canceled on a tour and we really needed somewhere to play and to sell some merch. So it's not out of the question, I guess. Let's see, William Blankenship asks, will you open for Sabaton's U.S. tour this spring? We're thinking about doing that. We're good friends with those guys, but I think we're going to be our goal is to be recording by that time, so it just didn't work out for us. Ken Wilhelm asks, where can I find toothpaste in Canada? You can find toothpaste in Canada anywhere. It'll cost you $1 million, though, because everything in Canada is extremely expensive, or at least too expensive for me. Matthew Wallace says, huge fan from Costa Rica. How can I get an album signed by you guys, or a shirt, or whatever? If you want to get a shirt by us, go to this page here and go to the merch store tab up in the upper left-hand corner. And you can find all of our merch, and it'll ship to Costa Rica. It'll definitely ship to Costa Rica. Getting an album signed by us, we usually... if we ever play over there, which we probably will at some point, we try to meet as many fans as possible after shows and sign whatever you want us to sign for you. So just come and try to find us after a show. Joshua Hummel asks, what kind of equipment do we use? I play Warwick Corvette Double Buck. And a Warwick Streamer Stage 2. I've been playing Warwicks for 10 years. They're my favorite basses, hands down. Very, very heavy, deep tones. It's really, really great. Great for like any kind of style you want to play. Honestly, Warwicks are the best. Chris and Alex play ESP. Basil plays Pearl drums. For specifics for amps, I play an Ampeg SVT Classic head through an Ampeg SVT 8x10 cabinet. Chris and Alex use Marshall cabinets and PV 5150 heads. Luke Stein asks, "Can I be your keyboardist?" Right now, our iPod is our keyboardist. It's a little lame, but we did try out keyboardist for a while. We could never find a very good fit for the band. Also, the more band members you have, especially if you're traveling in a van, which we've been trying to avoid and go on a bus lately, which is a bit easier. But in a van, the less people you have in the band, the better, because it gets pretty cramped in there. But if we find the right keyboardist, who knows? We're definitely open to it. Someone's asking Chris about the cheater keyboard. I don't think he's gonna revive that. I think that was something he did years ago, and unfortunately, if it's not working anymore, it's just, unless he finds the desire to put it back up and create a new download link, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. George Parachis wants to know if we're going to play MagFest this year. Unfortunately, we are not. We are going to be busy writing. And I don't think you have to worry about anything, though, because Nobuo Asamoto's band is going to be playing this year. So that's going to be awesome. Michael Dillon wants to know if we're playing 70,000 Tons of Metal in January. We might be. Slim chance. Again, we're going to be busy during that time, so we're not sure. But 70,000 Tons of Metal is something we haven't done yet, and if we did get that gig, we might take off everything. We might take off from writing to do that. Chris Kachan wants to know, let's see, tell the truth, Nick. Did you kill Spalding to get your spot in the band? If not, just lie to me and tell me you shot him with a bio rifle. Let's see. Yes, I shot him with a bio rifle. Spalding, for people who don't know, is he played a few of the songs on Total Ponage. He never played live with the band, but I met him before. He was a cool guy. But before I was in Powerglove, I was playing with Basil, Chris, and Alex, and other bands for a long time. So I knew them for a while. I knew they were doing Powerglove at the time, but I was in some other bands, so I wasn't available for it. And I joined the band in about 2006. And I think I was the first person who played bass live with the band. Ken Krantz asks, what is the hardest song to play live? It's actually different for everyone. I know from the songs we actually play live, Omni Shred is a bit tough on the guitars. Faster songs like the Flintstones or the Simpsons are harder for Basil. For me, I don't know why, but Transformers. We've been playing that for a while, but like that song, parts of it are just like they make my hands cramp up. It just gets to me. It's not that hard of a song either. I don't know why. It's just there's certain songs where like the positions I have in my wrists with certain stuff that I play, it just like it just gets to me. So David Sam asks, will there ever be a DVD of one of your concerts released? Yes, there will be if we find the right concert and we can find the right video crew and everything lines up correctly, we'll definitely do it. But it's not something we're going to rush. I mean, if you want to see a crappy quality concert that we do, you can find a million on YouTube. So we want to find the perfect show to do that at. Andrew Constantino asks, are you guys getting main stage at PAX East next year? We're not sure. We have some buddies over there. We haven't talked to them yet. Genocide Prenovisis asks, have you ever considered releasing your own video game? Yes, we definitely have. We need to find the right video game designer, but we have some ideas. We have some people we've been talking to about doing a Powerglove comic book. I mean, we have our own Flash game that Chris programmed, and we'll probably continue to do simple Flash games. But as far as like a game on the 360 or something, we might try and do something on the Xbox Live Network, but we need a bigger crew to do that with. So we're still trying to find that. Bill Hayes asks if I will journey with him into Mordor. Yes. Yes, I will. Cody Manning asks, when are we going to headline so you can get more than a half hour of Powerglove? That's not something that that's something we've been asked several times, and we're definitely taking it into consideration, and we're going to probably plan a headlining tour for when our next album comes out. There's a few questions asking if they can hang out with us after a show. Yes, we're always down. Always down. Just find us after a show. We're sometimes we're tired, but we're not. We're always down to hang out with people. We're usually bored once we're done playing. When you're on tour, you kind of spend the entire day waiting to play and doing a little nothing but practicing your instrument, getting ready to go on, or talking to friends. So yeah, just find us and just try and find us. We're usually outside. Just try and recognize us without the costumes on. And the last question is if I have any advice for aspiring musicians who want to eventually be in a touring band. The best thing you can do is just invest as much time as you possibly can in it, into promoting yourself, making high quality recordings, coming up with some kind of unique idea or a small gimmick. It doesn't have to be a heavy gimmick like the ones we have, but every band has some kind of gimmick, whether it's a lyrical theme or stage clothes or something that makes them makes the overall sound of the band stand out from the others. And besides that, just network and promote and try and book shows yourself and pack them. And promoters will take notice of that, and then you guys, I promise you guys, will get more gigs if you show that to them. Well, that's about it, guys. I hope that clears up any questions you might have for us. And until then, long live VG Metal. Take care.